Today we're going to take a look at some key terms for the Journalism 156 class, things like cutaways or B-roll. First, we'll talk about intros and outros, the beginning and ending of your video. These should be short and sweet. They'll often include you introducing yourself or a subject, and the end will usually be a sign-off. This is an example of an intro to a nightly news program.
Live from Washington, this is BBC News.
They will often include some sort of extravagant graphics to get you interested. Next, we have stand-up. A video journalism stand-up is a short video of a reporter speaking directly to the camera. Stand-ups are often used in news packages to summarize a story or provide additional information. In this case, we're going to look at a few examples of some creative stand-ups.
I'm News reporter Joe Little in Chula Vista, where firefighters are hoping to get some help from two new faces on the city council. With less than a week before the election, your mailbox is probably full of campaign mailers. Down here in Chula Vista is no exception. But there's one mailer. This one in particular is taking aim at a subject that some voters are very sensitive about. 25 years is a long time for a street not to be repaved. Instead, it's been patched at least once, twice, maybe 3 or 4 times.
B-roll is any video in a story other than interviews or graphics. These should have a lot of variety. You should take short shots between 10 and 15 seconds apiece. And in this demo video, a reporter will talk about his tips for shooting on the scene.
In this video, we're going to talk about shooting journalism B-roll or news B-roll. Now, there's some specific aspects of shooting B-roll for journalism that are specific to journalism. So there's lots of kinds of B-roll. Now, when I say B-roll, what exactly do I mean? What I'm talking about is a variety of shots, something that covers what's going on. There could be journalism B-roll, there could be B-roll for PR or marketing, corporate B-roll, things like that. So we're specifically talking about a variety of shots about a specific story or a specific topic. When we shoot news B-roll, we generally follow a specific pattern. The very first thing I want you to keep in mind is wide, medium, tight. Wide shot, medium shot, a tight shot. You'll want to shoot a variety of different kinds of shots. Wide shots, medium shots, tight shots. The wide shots give the viewer the ability to see what's going on in the area that it was going on. They see where things were placed relative to one another. The medium shots bring people in a little closer, and the tight shots give a little bit more of an intimacy to the setting. The other thing you want to do when you're shooting news B-roll is to have a variety of angles. You want to keep it interesting. Now, I'm the kind of person that will set up a tripod, shoot a wide shot, medium shot, a tight shot, then change the angle, shoot a wide, medium, tight, change the angle again, wide, medium, tight. Sometimes you'll find that having the camera close to the ground is good. Sometimes you'll find having the camera up in the air is good as well. Now, with regard to news B-roll, you also want to lock the shot down. In other words, there's not really a lot of panning or tilting. There's not really a lot of zooming unless what's going on inside the frame calls for that kind of a thing. In other words, if you've got like an example here where the ambulance is moving, you'll want to shoot the ambulance moving. You'll want to pan with it, maybe zoom with it as well. Other than that, let the action of the picture be the movement. News is really just kind of very clinical. It's very hygienic, if you want to look at it that way. You're there to set up the camera, let it record for 10 seconds, 12 seconds, stop, set up a new shot, do the same thing, 10 or 12 seconds, and so forth. So the most important thing you can do, though, is as you're shooting news B-roll, ensure that you get a huge number of shots. Even though you're going to shoot for 10 or 12 seconds at a time, when this footage gets edited, it's going to be edited into about 2 to 3 seconds. And so you can imagine, even though it feels like you've got plenty of footage, you may have 4, 5, 6 minutes worth of B-roll. When this actually gets edited into a finished story and the shots are only 2 to 3 seconds each, you may only have 90 seconds, something like that. So be sure and get a large variety of shots.
Next, we have cutaway. That's a video shot away from the main action. For example, a reporter is at a news conference and then cuts from the speaker to the crowd listening. Like B-roll, these shots provide transitions in editing and can cover up jump cuts. Here's some examples of some corporate cutaways, but you'll get the same idea.
Cutaways are so important, but often they're... Oi, eyes on me! Cutaways are so important, but often they're forgotten about. Here's everything you need to know about what cutaways are and why you should use them. Spending a little time on planning and capturing cutaways will make your life easier, your editor's life easier, and the audience's experience of your video a whole lot better. First, let's talk about what cutaways are. Well, the clue's in the name. Cutaways are pieces of footage that you can cut away to. For example, if I'm recording a piece to camera about the plant life in the Shoots to office in Sydney, I might cut away to footage of our greenery. Now, watch out. Cutaways are often confused with B-roll. Whereas cutaways are specifically planned visuals that help to illustrate the message you're delivering, B-roll refers to shots you might capture preemptively in case you need extra footage for your video. So how do cutaways make your life easier? Well, they help you to illustrate what you're talking about, which means you don't have to explain as much. Let's use the example of the office plants again. Either I can try to explain to you how there's devil's ivy, which is a species of flowering plant in the arum family, growing on a sort of metal structure like the steel frame they use to reinforce concrete, or I can just show you. Next, let's talk about how cutaways make your editor's life easier. Without cutaways, if you ask your editor to cut to a different part of your script, they're going to have to jump cut, which can be pretty jarring. They might hide it with a punch in, but that can get pretty repetitive after a while. With cutaways, you can hide a lot of cuts, and even mistakes in your footage. Finally, let's talk about the audience experience. When you're watching a video and the image changes, your brain understands that there's new information, and so you should pay attention. Next time you're watching a TV show, pay attention to how often the visuals change, and you'll probably find it's every few seconds. Now, compare that to the last boring piece to camera you watched, which was 5 minutes long with no visual changes, and I think you'll start to get the picture about why cutaways are important. In addition to making your video more engaging to watch, your audience is going to understand what you're talking about better and retain the information more. With cutaways, you can make everyone's life easier. So next time you're planning a video, make sure you allow a little bit of time to capture great cutaways.
Next, we have package. And that's a reporter's recorded story that usually includes the video, sound, and voice track of the reporter, and usually runs between 1 minute and 30 seconds and 2 minutes. It also will include the graphics. This is an example of a long feature package that was shot by one of my former students. Pay attention to the wide variety of shots that Luis Ramirez shot, particularly things like a detail of a punching bag that then cuts to a wide shot of someone practicing on that punching bag.
Its heartbeat. And in Philadelphia, you don't need to go far to understand it's a city full of fighters.
1, 2. 1, 2, slip right under. Back under. Choose your right hand. Life is about really getting back up and pushing forward. If somebody punch you, what do you do about it? 2, 3.
7 days a week, Malik Jackson teaches the art of boxing to adults in his gym in the Northern Liberties neighborhood of the city. But on 2 of those days,
How you feeling? Good. Get your exercises in.
Malik takes a step back to teach the 150 kids that also come to his gym the art of fighting, or in his words, perseverance.
For me, boxing has always been a vehicle for me to move through my hardships and my issues. As I come from the inner city of America, a traditional upbringing, so these things is not cultivated. And we use sports to garner discipline and structure and understand life.
Today, kids and teens across the United States are more likely to die by guns than any other cause. Between 2019 and 2021, gun deaths among kids rose 50% as they surpassed car accidents for the first time in history. But in the inner city, that has been the case for nearly 2 decades, as gun violence has been the leading cause of death among black children since 2006.
Around my neighborhood, there was a lot of violence and crime and stuff.
Aaron Taylor grew up surrounded by it.
Right up on it. 4 slip rule.
He says kids yearn for belonging, and if they can't get it from home, they'll get it from somewhere else. Many times, gangs.
You drop your height, you drop your weight, and you distribute your weight to either side of your body. That's called the slip, right?
It's why Malik has made it his mission to get to those kids first, so they can feel what he never did after he lost 3 brothers and a nephew to gun violence.
When I was 7, I watched my older brother, who's deceased now, get shot right in front of my face. These programs is a direct answer to the pain and the situations that I've been through. That's my way of processing those emotions when those kids come in and they look like Azim and I can save them.
In Malik's gym, boxing is life.
1, 2, 3.
because it resembles life.
Right, left, right. Two hands, right hand. Life is not fair, and I ain't here to prove it. I'm just here to move past it and live it.
And through discipline, dignity, and determination, he's teaching the younger generation how to take a punch and respond by fighting the good fight. Dan Grossman, Scripps News, Philadelphia.
Next, we have tilts and pans. Tilts are moving the camera up or down vertically, and pans are moving the camera horizontally left to right. Here's an example of how to tilt and pan your camera.
Hi, I'm Steve Dixon, Manager of Media Instruction at WHYY. Today we're going to talk about two principal camera movements, pan and tilt. Camera movements give style and tone to your film, and these two basic but important movements can do the same for you. First, you will need a camera and a tripod. Begin by securing your camera by locking it down on your tripod, and then make sure it's level. Next, understanding panning is simple. You move your camera from left to right or right to left using the tripod's handle. It's usually used to reveal an object or subject. Or you can use it to follow an action, such as a person walking. As for tilting, you move your camera vertically up and down, tilt up and tilt down, again using the tripod's handle, used to reveal an object or subject in your story. It's also good to use when revealing tall objects, such as buildings. To create a nice smooth pan or tilt, adjust your tripod locks to move it freely and create less drag or resistance. Your movement should be steady and even at a consistent pace. Don't jerk the camera, stop and go, or swivel it back and forth like a paintbrush. Make sure the camera stays level while you're moving, and remember to readjust your locking mechanisms so your camera doesn't move without you in the rest of your footage. Pans and tilts can be used in narrative films along with B-roll for your documentary or news package. It can upgrade your production skills and add a professional touch to your films. So go out, practice these new skills, and I can't wait to see how you utilize them in your next film.
Next, we have audio ducking. Audio ducking is a technique that temporarily lowers the volume of an audio track when another track is present. It's often used to make one audio track more distinct and cleaner. In video journalism, it's often lowering the nat sound track against the dialogue of the reporter or subject. Auto ducking in Premiere Pro is a tool in the Essential Sound panel that does this for you automatically. And those are some key terms that are important to know for the video journalism production class.